Hey, I'm Kate, and this is Barbell Therapy, the podcast, where we're giving power to vulnerability. We are going to help you lose weight and reach your goals, but we're going to show you that you're not alone in how you feel while you're doing that. Let's get vulnerable. What is up, Barbell Therapy fans, and welcome back to this episode where we are going to be chatting with Carey and learning so much. It's going to be incredible. So, Carey, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming.
Hey, of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How is your day so far?
It's good. So super busy this week. I'm doing a little end of year sale in my coaching business. And yeah, I mean, you know how those things go. Those are always like, it's busy times, busy time of the year.
So you started off strong telling us about like the fact that you have a business. So tell us about what you do and why you got there and all the things.
Yeah. So I do nutrition coaching, one-on-one coaching. I started my business 2 years ago now, which seems crazy. It feels like it was yesterday. And really, I started my business like because of my own personal experiences, right? And I'm sure we'll get into a lot of different stuff, but most of the women that I work with now are in their 30s and 40s. A lot of them are moms, busy professionals. So they're struggling with finding the time to work out, to do like literally anything for themselves, not really knowing what to eat, how much to eat, struggling with like all these diet culture BS that my generation experienced. So yeah, I help them get on the right track with all of that stuff. I also do a little bit of hormone testing. A lot of the women that I work with are like, because of the nature of their lifestyles, like they're exhausted all the time. Their sleep is shit. They're just struggling, anxiety, like all the things, brain fog. So we work through and find solutions for all of those things as well.
Tell us like a little bit about your journey. So I know from just knowing you that I feel like you started with Weight Watchers years ago. Like, is that how it all started? Was there something before that?
Yeah, that really was like where my love affair with nutrition started. Although it's right now, I would not equate Weight Watchers at all with nutrition.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? But that's kind of like where I guess my love affair with like health started, okay. Right? So I was pretty healthy in high school. Like I played sports and I was pretty active, right? But then when I got to college, like I joke that the only sports I played were beer pong and flip cup. So I like gained a freshman 30. And a lot of the women in my family on my mom's side particularly have struggled with weight like their entire lives. And so I knew that it was in my future if I didn't do something about it, right? And so funny enough, I was home for the summer after I think my junior year of college, and my grandmother had struggled with her weight like her whole life and was always trying like the next thing. I mean, if we had all the money that she spent on all the things that she did and that she tried. But so she was doing Weight Watchers this summer and she was like, just come with me. And so I went to an in-person meeting with her back when those were like the things. They used to have like pop-ups at like churches and stuff.
It's like AA, but for weight loss.
It was. But so yeah, like I did it with her. And I lost like 5 pounds the first week. And I was like hooked. Right. And so I went back to school a couple of months later and like all my friends were like, what have you been doing? And so I ended up having 2 girlfriends come with me to Weight Watchers and join also. And that whole, like our whole senior year, we went to Weight Watchers meetings together. I lost 30 pounds and kept it off really until I had kids. And that's when, you know, everything really changed for me.
Yeah.
I guess.
So I feel like people like kind of know what Weight Watchers is. Maybe they haven't done it before. Like talk us through what Weight Watchers like really was, especially then versus, and like what you went through, if there was any transformation in it then, and maybe like what it might be now, if it's any different.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I can't really speak so much to what it is now because it's been a good like 4 years since I've really done it. Although I did work for Weight Watchers for a period of time. So that was like my first like job in, again, I'll say nutrition, even though I don't really equate it so much with nutrition. But so I will never forget when I joined Weight Watchers, I was allowed to eat 18 points a day. And so points is like this calculation that they use. Nobody really knows like what it equates to, right? But a point is like a specific value based on calories. Really, back then, it was probably primarily calories. In the last 10 to 12 years, they've started looking at protein, carbs, and fats as well, like so full macro profiles. But back then, it was solely based on calories. And I would guess that with that 18 points that I was allowed, I was probably eating like 1,000 calories. Like, I remember breakfast was a bowl of Fiber One cereal with like, I'm pretty sure I used like sugar-free almond milk, unsweetened almond milk.
Remember those days?
And then lunch would be like a sandwich thin with like deli turkey and like a slice of fat-free cheese. Kate, have you ever seen what a slice of fat-free American cheese looks like?
That sounds interesting.
Like it's gross. It's gross. I mean,
It doesn't have to be like, it's just chemicals, right? Like
it's
that's
not
what it is?
food. Yeah, it's 100% not food. And like that would be my lunch with like some baked chips, right? Or some Wow chips. Do you remember those?
No,
They
not
were
wow.
only on the market for a little bit because
Okay.
people had like severe gastric distress after eating these.
Good.
And then for dinner, like I would go to the dining hall and get like a salad, probably not even with any meat on it, or I would eat a bowl of peas.
But why?
Because one of the things that was pushed in Weight Watchers back then was getting a lot of fiber. And so you can imagine eating a bowl of peas and a bowl of Fiber One cereal for breakfast. I was getting probably a lot of fiber.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't cook. Like I lived in a sorority house. We had a kitchen, but like, I didn't really cook. I didn't know how to cook anything. A lot of Smart Ones dinners, healthy choice, lean cuisine, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that was like my diet for at least 10 years, really, until I met my husband and moved in with him, and he loves to cook. And so then we actually I started eating more protein and stuff like that just because he likes to cook. And I started working for Weight Watchers in probably like 2012 or 2011. And at that point, they had really kind of changed some of their programming where they were prioritizing more like protein, lean meats, whole foods, that sort of thing. And there were all these foods that had 0 points assigned to them. So they were like free, right? Like chicken breast, eggs, most of non-starchy veggies were free. So a little bit more of a focus on eating whole foods, not like all that processed crap. And so I think they've continued to move in that direction. Like I understand from some of these Facebook groups that I still like pop in on every once in a while that like some of the products, like the snack foods and the bars and stuff, they're not carrying as many of those things anymore. So anyways, that's more than you ever need to know about my Weight Watchers.
No, I mean, I think that's perfect because like you're saying a lot of things like having Fiber One cereal with almond milk, right? Like I know I can relate to that. Not necessarily Fiber One cereal, but I can relate to the fact as someone who grew up drinking a gallon of milk per week, like by herself. I look at almond milk and I'm like, yeah, because I did that as like a necessity to like reduce my calories, right? So talk to us a little bit about why that diet that you were on is so, I'm just going to say it, like harmful, and like what that did with your relationship with food, and then how you then had to like combat that to get to a healthier place.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really about that mindset of like eating as little as you can. And I feel like there were a lot of women that I would come across in Weight Watchers, like just as a member going to meetings. And like once I started working for them and like helping run the meetings and stuff, that it was trying to eat as little as possible. And then there was also this concept of being able to save your points. So like if you got 20 points a day and you only ate 15, you could bank those 5 and then save them to use for the weekend if you wanted to. And so it was almost like kind of putting you in a place where it set you up to like binge restrict, right? And so of course you're going to want to binge when you feel that restricted, right? When you're only eating 1,000 calories a day, right? You're going to like feel super restricted and want to eat an entire pizza on the weekends, right? And it was also it was almost like you could work the system with Weight Watchers, if that makes any sense. Like you could make it work. Like you could eat all 0 point foods all day, and then you could save all of your points for an entire pizza on the weekend. But we know that's not really how nutrition works, right? Like that's really not going to help most people get any closer to their goals, you know? And I think one of the turning points for me, not entirely, but one of them along my journey was when I got pregnant with my son and I went to the doctor and she was like, you know, tell me what you eat. I think I told her that I did Weight Watchers and I asked her if I could continue. And she was like, well, how many calories do you think you eat every day? And I was like, yeah, probably about 1,300. And she was like, oh, honey, like that is not even close to what you need when you're about to carry this child for 40 weeks, you know? And so then I started like, you know, reevaluating how much food I was putting in my body because obviously I wanted to have a healthy pregnancy. But yeah, like a huge mindset shift from like, you know, eating that little and kind of like that concept of being able to like save up your calories or whatever.
Right. And I think that at its core, Weight Watchers, Noom, keto, whatever it is, like all of these diets at their core, the problem is they all have the foundational, like same principles, right? That you eat in a calorie deficit in some way, shape, or form. You now with Weight Watchers, like having protein being like 0 points. I know chicken breast, for example, like leaner proteins is like 0, and then probably
Yeah.
fattier proteins gets a little bit higher because of the calorie dense, right? Like it's not because they're bad for you, it's because they're calorically dense and really equating those points to those calories. Like at the end of the day, that foundation is the same. It's all about calories in, the quality of the calories that you're eating, and then how you're supporting your body nutritionally alongside of that. Like at the end, like that is the core concept. And the problem is that people want that fancy, well, I'm doing Weight Watchers, I'm doing keto. Like they want the fancy diet that they believe is going to give them that satisfaction of like, oh, well, this is working for me, instead of just being like, the consistency of calories and exercise is really where it's coming from, right?
Right. And really, I think one of the things with Weight Watchers, and I feel like, you know, this is in no way intended to like trash Weight Watchers, because I
Right.
would not be where I am today without Weight Watchers.
Right.
Is like it creates that dependency on the point system, because I will tell you that even having done Weight Watchers for 10 or 12 years, like I really didn't understand calories. Like I really didn't understand macronutrients. And so, you know, it really doesn't teach you a whole lot about those types of things, right? I mean, you know, and it creates that dependency. Like they want you to keep paying the, I don't know how much it was now. I feel like it was like $15 a month the last time I did it, just to like have access to the app and for that algorithm to like tell you how many calories you were supposed to be eating or how many points you were supposed to be eating. But they want you to continue to do that. And that's why so many women, I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who are like, I've done Weight Watchers 6 times. Like, you know, well, why are you doing it again? Like, yeah, you lost weight, but you clearly didn't keep it off. So like where's the disconnect, you know, that you would go back to that again.
And I feel like for you, like you're a Weight Watchers success story, and that's what we want, both out of any diets that people do, but also us as coaches. Like we want people to be that success story where like, yes, you lose the weight, but you learned what those foundational principles are. And at the end of the day, whether it's Weight Watchers or working with a coach or any other, you know, subscription based type of thing, which like coaching is not subscription based, but that's besides the point. Like all of these things are trying to teach you something. And it's just a matter of like what you put in versus what you get out, right? Like, and so with Weight Watchers, you're such a success story because you took the time to understand what those points like started to mean. You evaluated the points versus the foods that you were eating and like kind of started to understand why some of them were good, why some of them were bad. Not even, I don't even like to do that, but like why some of them were lower, why some of them were higher, right? And what that really meant for your body. And I think that's the success that people don't understand that we're looking for from these types of things. So you mentioned that you stopped Weight Watchers when you got pregnant with your son, and that's kind of when your journey changed. So talk to us about, getting pregnant and what life looked like afterwards when it comes to fitness and nutrition.
Yeah. So, well, I'll backtrack a little bit. So
Okay.
before I got pregnant with my son, I miscarried my very first pregnancy. And that was when I really started thinking, like, why did this happen to someone who's so healthy? Like, I thought I was so healthy, And so I started like dipping my toes into like paleo and Whole30 and really started thinking about like what was in my food because literally I was living off of Fiber One cereal and 100-calorie packs and lean cuisines and stuff like that. So that was kind of like when I started thinking about food quality, right? And the ingredients in my food. But I still couldn't break free of the whole Weight Watchers like mindset. Like I was still tracking food and stuff like that. And which is really, those things conflict with each other a lot because when you think of something that is healthy for you, like a handful of almonds or nut butter or avocado or whatever, those things are really high in points, but they're not bad for you. And they fit into a healthy, balanced diet, right? So anyways, so after my son was born, I went back to Weight Watchers and I was able to like lose the weight. I got back to my pre-baby weight pretty quickly after he was born. I was also running a lot, like doing half marathons, constantly training for something. And so it really wasn't until my daughter was born, she's 5 now, that like my body,
by the way, so stinking cute.
that like my body changed. Like it was, I don't know, it was just very different. I think when you have one kid, looking back, it was so easy having one kid. Everything was just like, he was so easy. And I don't know. My daughter was born like 6 months before a pandemic. I had a job that I hated. The adjustment to 2 kids was just a lot. And so on top of like, I went back to Weight Watchers, it didn't work. But I don't think it was only the Weight Watchers that didn't work. I think I was just dealing with a lot of other stuff, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, just exhaustion, stress, lack of sleep. Like, so, it was just like a perfect storm, being in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, like it was just a lot to deal with. So I spun my wheels on my own and like tried to figure out, because I had done this before, right? I had lost 30 pounds before. Like I should be able to figure that out on my own, right? Spun my wheels on that for at least 2 years after she was born before I decided that like I needed to make a change and hire a coach myself. And that's what I did and what really like got me where I am today, right?
And I think where the coach comes into play really comes in when you need more support than just the basic foundational things, right? And that's like what, as a coach, I'm sure you feel this way, it's like hard to sell. And it's so hard for me to tell you 30 seconds or less on the internet why this program means anything, because it's not about the like macro plan or the workout plans that I give you. It's the support that I'm going to help you get through life's hardest shit, right? Like because you are capable. You know the research, you've studied the nutrition in some way, shape, or form. You've done the things that you need to do, but like it's not working now. Like why? And it's because that mental piece. You need that person that's gonna drag you through the mud.
Yeah, that's so right. Like that's so what was happening. I mean, my hormones were all kinds of messed up. My adrenals were tanked. But on top of that, like I was putting a ton of pressure on myself to do these things that were unrealistic and just didn't really fit with my life. Like, not to mention like thinking that I could eat 1,200 calories a day and that was going to help me like lose the baby weight when I was already like exhausted, stressed as hell, And then like I tried stuff like keto. Yeah, that worked for a little bit, but like why the hell would that work for me long term when like Mexican food and chips and salsa are literally like my favorite thing in the entire world? Why would keto work for me? My coach really helped me like figure out what worked with me and worked for me and with my lifestyle. And I think like I hear so many women now, like this time of the year telling me like, oh, I'm just going to give myself through the holidays. And then January 1st, I'm going to give up sugar and I'm going to cut back on the booze. Like, okay, I mean, that's great, but like nobody's really going to give up sugar. I mean, most people aren't. Like I know like two people that like really like don't eat sugar.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even in the nutrition space, like most people, allow themselves to enjoy the things that, we want to enjoy. So just think we put too much pressure on ourselves and we create these unrealistic expectations that are just very difficult to, follow through with long term. And that's very much what I did,
Yeah.
from
I mean, so many women are like that, right? Because like you were in this job and you had these kids and I applaud how vulnerable you are in telling us how it was difficult. Like it wasn't easy to go from one kid to two kids. Like that was a hard transition and I feel like a lot of people aren't comfortable saying that because they don't want to like make anyone like make their kids feel bad, whatever. But it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just a hard transition in life, and that is okay. And it is okay to need help in those times. And somebody said this to me recently. Somebody equated coaching to like just like therapy or anything else. There's times in your life you might need a little bit of extra support, even physical therapy. Like I'm a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. I literally help people get through injuries for a living, and I still need to go to physical therapy on my own with someone else to help me correct my form and do what I need to do because like it's just a season of life that I'm in. I need that extra support. I have a nutrition and a powerlifting coach, like a general strength coach, like because I just need somebody else to do it for me because I can't do it for myself. But I love doing it for other people. And like, it's that feedback loop of like, sometimes we just need the extra help and that's okay. And it's okay for life to be hard and you to need somebody to tell you how to get through like what it is that you're going through right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I still have a coach. I probably will never give her up. It's just that accountability. And one of my best friends said something to me years ago that I think her therapist said to her, if you have the means to outsource something that will make your life even a tiny bit easier, whether it's having someone clean your house or having groceries delivered or hiring a coach to, create your training plans and tell you what to eat and how much, like do that shit. Like do it because it's going to make your life so much easier in the long run. And thinking that you can do everything on your own is an unreasonable expectation to put on yourself.
That is such a good analogy. Like literally, like you just said, think about it in the business terms. A CEO has an assistant for reasons, like has a CFO, has like all these different things, right? Like if you think about it in business, like you have to outsource and you have, or not even outsource, but you have to create positions to allow this business to run. So think of your life as like a business. Like sometimes you're just going to have to hire somebody to do a task that you can't handle on your own, and that's okay. Cleaning your house, delivering your groceries, whatever that is. That's such a good point and something I didn't even think about until you just said it, because I was just like,
Yeah.
it's like for me, I'm just like, I need help. Like I really do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's easy to know that I can like get that help. But I think for women, it's like, it's hard to justify a cost of a coach or things like that when you feel like you should be able to do it on your own. But at the end of the day, sometimes you can't, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I just got to a point where like I knew that I had to make a change and like that I couldn't do it on my own. And I literally felt like I had tried everything, And I'm lucky to have a really supportive husband who realized that like I was in the trenches.
Right.
And something had to give. So I mean, but it's, making that change and like making that commitment to myself to like change my life has been, life changing, not just for me, but for my family too.
Yeah. And so I know right now, you're full time in your coaching business, but talk to us a little bit about what it was like having two kids, the job that you didn't like. And I know that was a high profile job for you. And like now also adding on top of this, like trying to figure out your life when it comes to fitness and nutrition, aside from Weight Watchers, which you've been doing for years. Like talk to us about all that.
Yeah. So I had a job that I hated, and ended up switching careers in, I guess, 2021. And I got promoted very quickly to like one of the top leadership program positions at a really large nonprofit here where I live. And it was incredibly demanding. I mean, it was supposed to be 40 hours a week, but really it was more like 60. I was working a lot of evening events, weekend commitments, just spending, really every second that I had working. I realized I needed to make a change in my career when my son was like, Mom, you never spend any time with us anymore. You're always working. And he was 4 years old at the time. So that's a lot coming from a 4-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like the job was absolutely crazy. I had seen my PCP because, like, just for an annual visit or whatever. And I was like, I'm on edge all day, every day. Like, I'm exhausted. I can't sleep through the night. Like, I'm up all night, trying to solve the world's problems. I'm screaming at my kids. I'm screaming at my husband. I'm crying in the bathroom all alone. I want to drink 2 bottles of wine every night because I'm so like, I can't chill out. And so I had started taking Zoloft at her, recommendation, which is fine, you know, but I knew like that was not like the long-term solution, right? Like I knew there had to be, another solution. So it was after that I decided to hire my coach. And since then I've been able to come off the Zoloft after a lot of lifestyle changes, a lot. I remember a time, in 2020, 2021, and my husband and I would put the kids to bed and we would start drinking wine, like on a work night, like on a weeknight, and binge watch Netflix and easily drink a bottle of wine or two. Because I was just so stressed. Like I had no other way I had nothing. I felt like I had nothing for myself. Like, and I had no way to like chill out and relax that didn't involve alcohol. So that was a really big change that I had to make. Now I still drink and I still, enjoy cocktails here and there, but rarely during the week, rarely to excess. Definitely not something that it's not my go-to for stress relief these days anymore by any means.
Yeah. No, that's so important. And like, alcohol is definitely something that I feel like a lot of us battle with because in college it's the thing to do. And then, for most of our lives, 90% of like social outings revolve around alcohol. We go to restaurants to get deals on alcohol, right? Like that's just kind of how a lot of it is. So having to take that out of the equation becomes challenging for a lot of us.
Yeah.
That is definitely something that I have been facing because I love beer, but talk about calorie dense. And it's like, at the end of the day, like I have now learned that I can go to a brewery and get a couple 4-ounce pours and be really satisfied trying them all because I didn't need the whole 16-ounce pour, right? Like I just wanted to try it. And I'm still probably drinking 16, whatever ounces, but just over the course of like trying multiple instead of having multiple 16-ounce beers, right? Like it's that type of mindset change that we have to make. But I'm curious to know like what other lifestyle changes outside of alcohol you made, and then how are you able to manage, being a mom, being a wife, and, working on this fitness and nutrition journey while you were still employed?
Yeah. Gosh, while I was still employed, it was tough. And to be honest with you, like to be honest about my journey, I ended up quitting my job about 6 months after I started like my health journey.
Okay.
Because I had started my coaching business as well and it grew pretty quickly. I felt like, and my husband would agree with this, that my job at the time was like it was a big contributing factor to why I was feeling the way that I was and why I was like so unhappy with everything. And so that was just a change that I had to make to walk away from that. But yeah, I'd say like some of the lifestyle changes that I've made that have made the biggest difference for me are the simplest stuff. Like I used to, be stressed all day. And after my kids went to bed, I would turn on Netflix, I would drink wine, but I would just like veg and doom scroll until I like fell asleep on the couch. And then I would not get enough sleep. And sometimes my kids would wake us up in the middle of the night. I would have to be up. I would wake up early to try to work out before work. So sometimes I was living on like 5 hours of sleep. So one of the biggest things that I've done is I go to bed so early now. Like, it's not even funny.
Tell me what early is, because that means something different to everybody.
So my kids' bedtime is 8.
Okay.
So that means like sometime around 8, we are like getting ready for bed, reading stories, and usually they're asleep by 8:30. Like on a decent night, they're asleep by 8:30. Usually my daughter will like brush her teeth with me. We'll brush our teeth. We'll do our skincare together because she's like my mini me right now and she wants to do like everything that I do. So like I'll let her like pretend like she's doing her skincare with me in the evenings. So by the time the kids are in bed at 8:30, I put on my pajamas and I get in the bed. And sometimes I'll scroll, sometimes I'll respond to some client messages if there's something that I didn't get to do, like between, when I signed off at 5 or 5:30 or whatever, and when the kids went to bed. But I read a lot more now. And usually, like my alarm goes off 5:15 or 5:30. So lights out by 9:30. Like, I mean, that's pretty much non-negotiable. And if I don't do that, I feel like shit the next day. Like,
Well, so your lights out by 9:30, but what time are you waking up? Because I think that context is also important.
yeah, my alarm goes off by 5:15 or 5:30.
Right.
I mean, I do wake up. I wake up early. But one thing I've learned about myself, really going back to when my son was a baby, is that waking up before everybody else in my house, and even if it was only having like 30 minutes of quiet to like drink a hot cup of coffee, like it set the tone for my entire day.
Right.
And so I used to wake up early and make a cup of coffee and just like veg on the couch and like watch the news and like doom scroll. Over the past few years, I've changed that morning routine. And then I wake up, I still make a cup of coffee, drink some water, usually make like a small breakfast, and I walk on the treadmill in the morning. Sometimes I still watch the news, or I'll watch Netflix, or I'll doom scroll, or whatever. But just getting that little bit of activity in the morning before everybody wakes up, like makes a big difference, especially when you're sitting in a chair most of the day, which even as a nutrition coach, like my work is virtual. So, when we're working, we're sitting on our butts all day. Right.
Yeah. And I think that like what you just said about starting your day and like setting the tone for your day is so important, because I think that's the one thing that people definitely take for granted a lot of the times is like, going to bed late and then feeling so exhausted that you have to snooze your alarm several times so you don't wake up. Like you wake up so close to like when you have to rush now to leave, to get ready to go, whatever, out the door. And then that's an excuse as to why you don't eat breakfast or whatever it is. Like you're creating these scenarios that we can fix. Like these are fixable solutions, and it is okay to go to bed, at 9. Like we recently changed our alarm time, our wake up time, because of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would say that, but it's so true. Because of the time that everything, whatever. So my alarm goes off at 7:30. That's like get out of bed. But like typically I'm waking up a little bit before then and just kind of like stirring. And one thing that has been really good for me is we go to bed, we go upstairs at 9, we get ready for bed, we get into bed, and previously we would just like watch an episode or two of TV until we get tired and fall asleep. But at some point that started like creeping into like 11:30, and I was like, okay, now I'm not getting enough sleep. So I had to like find a better schedule. So like I'm the same way. I go upstairs at 9 and then I watch an episode. I read until 10:20. At 10:20, like we have the hatch alarm, so that goes off. And I like have to be very strict and like go to bed and like close my eyes and do it. And I always thought that this was going to be so impossible for me because I always say I can't sleep. And that's true to certain elements, but like I feel like I created a lot of that, and I can change that situation. I can change that narrative for me. And I think that that's obviously what you've done. And just what like we have to keep teaching people that they can do too. Like, and for some of us that don't have kids yet, we don't necessarily need to get up at a super early time because we can have pretty quiet. But like starting your day with something that's going to make you feel productive and good for you is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear so many women say, like, I stay up late after the kids go to bed because that's the only time I get to myself. But there are ways, like you just said, that you can kind of flip that around. How would you feel if had that 45 minutes to yourself in the morning before the kids wake up? How would that change your day? You can pack your lunch, eat a healthy breakfast, in the morning before the kids wake up, drink a hot cup of coffee, and still get some of that like time to yourself. Right.
I think so. I think that's so true. And there's also time in the middle of the day. Like a lot of people, have some sort of a lunch break. Like go sit in your car. Like just go take time for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are small things that are easy changes when you say them out loud. You're like, well, why not? But for somebody who's been doing something for so long, it's hard to be like, well, I have to be by my computer. But you're on your lunch break. You don't, right? Like, and we're here, especially as coaches, to challenge you on those things, to, get yourself out of your comfort zone so we can make drastic changes to your lifestyle and your overall.
Yeah. One small thing that I actually learned positively before I left my previous job was my old boss loved walking meetings. Like she always wanted to get steps in throughout the day and like lived and died by her Apple Watch. So she started this thing of having walking meetings. Like if two of us wanted to talk about something work related, why do we have to stand in somebody's office or sit in somebody's office and do it? Can't we go walk around the block and talk about it? So whenever the weather was nice, this became like a big thing in our office. Like you want to go walk around and talk about it. And it was like a game changer. And it changed my mindset about stuff too, like what do I need to do that I can also walk around? Like if I'm on the phone, I can walk around. Responding to client messages, I can walk around, there's a lot of things. It's those small changes that make like a big difference. So, I mean, we know that so much of our health is related to and stems from sleep. I mean, when you're exhausted, it's just like a, trickle down effect. You don't have any energy to work out. Usually it's so easy to mistake tiredness for hunger. Like I know I experience that big time if I'm sleep deprived all day. I'm thinking about what am I going to eat next? And like, oh my God, that looks good, So that's probably like one. And people give me such a hard time for it. They're like, 30, Carey's probably going to go to bed now. Like even when we're on vacation, we go on vacations a lot. We travel a lot. We spend time with family. It's like, I'm like, good night. And we don't have a TV in our room, in our bedroom, which we haven't had a TV in our bedroom probably for like 6 years. And that has been a big thing too. Cause it's so easy, like you said, just to lay in bed and like, mindlessly watch stuff and then be like, oh my God, it's so late.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the mindless stuff. And it's always the mindless stuff that we can easily create more time for ourselves. We just have to be willing to, again, get uncomfortable and do it, right? So I think those are huge points. Taking all of this into consideration, tell us like how you currently work with your clients. Like what is a typical experience? What are the things that you're doing to help women get into a better place? And, just start there.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the things that we just talked about, like we really spend at least the first few months building a solid foundation. Like I'm going to look at, yes, your eating habits, your calories in, your calories out, your food choices, your eating patterns, like how many meals a day are you eating? How often are you eating? How are you spreading your calories out through the day? We're looking at all that stuff, but we're also looking at your sleep habits, your sleep hygiene, your daily movement throughout the day, if you're doing any exercise or not, and like how can we slip movement in throughout the day without needing to go to Orange Theory for 45 minutes every day, right? Water and hydration, caffeine intake, alcohol intake, all of those little things that people think like are not that important that really are the building blocks, right? Like those are the big rocks. Those are like the things that you have to have in place in order for, the calories and the macros to really make that that big of a difference, right? So we spend the first few months like really working on a lot of that stuff. I also do some cortisol testing inside my program. So we do that within the first few months. I create a protocol, usually herbal supplements to help get those things in optimal place and get you feeling better energy wise, sleeping better through the night, like all those things. But we know that that's definitely not the end all be all of like fixing those issues. The foundation of fixing those issues is not taking, a supplement. It's the sleep, the stress management, the daily movement, the food choices, like all of those things also. So yeah.
And then what are the top 3 things that you find that you need all of your clients to do to be successful?
Oh, that's a good question. That's hard because I feel like everyone is so different. So the first one would be communicate with me, because a lot of the times there's things going on in your life that like you don't think it has anything to do with weight loss or nutrition or whatever, but a lot of the times it does, right? And we can work through those things together if I know about them. But if I don't know about them, how are we going to do that? So I think the other thing that I prioritize a lot with my clients that they see big results for is just the daily movement piece. So many, I would say at least half of my clients, we're not even doing any training. We're focused on getting walks in when they can, a certain step count, whatever that looks like for them to get their daily movement in, because so many of them are chained to a desk for a good part of the day, spend the days as a taxi cab driving their kids all around and stuff like that, and just aren't getting enough daily movement in throughout the day. It's the last one, and something that seems really simple too that we work on a lot is just staying hydrated throughout the day. I feel like that's a big one, because a lot of the times we're drinking like 3 and 4 caffeinated beverages throughout the day and like 30 ounces of water, 40 ounces of water. So those are some of the things that we really start with that get my clients a lot of big wins from the beginning and get them like those, small steps towards their goals.
Seems so simple, but it's so challenging. It really is. It really is. Okay. What is one hot take you have in the fitness and nutrition industry right now?
So I think one thing that's just been so heavy on my mind, and we already talked about it, is like drastically changing your life by saying that you're going to give up sugar or, start a carnivore diet January 1st is probably not going to get you the long-term results that you want. And really, by doing these things, you're setting yourself up for failure. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, for most people, I feel like that is the reality, and it's just heavy on my mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially because so many people are like, oh, like all I need to do to lose weight is give up XYZ. And I'm like, really? Like, you want to give up something that like you're literally telling me is your kryptonite? That's like quitting smoking. Like, you think people can just put down a cigarette and call it a day, like January 1? No, they like need to make it a plan, right? Like alcoholics, things like that. Like, you don't just like give up things cold turkey. And I'm not even saying that to say like you're addicted to the thing that you're talking about, but it's something that you enjoy, and you're saying you're just going to give it all up. Why?
Yeah.
We can eat it. It's okay.
Right. Like, that mindset that there's like bad foods and like things that should be off limits. I mean, yeah, sure. Like, we should not be eating 700 calories of chocolate cake every day if we want to lose weight. But, can you have a treat every day if you want to? Like, yeah, yes, if that's something that's important to you, like having a sweet treat before bed, like we can make it work.
Right.
Saying that you're going to give up sugar or give up sweets entirely, like, I always ask my clients or like women that I talk to, like, what's your exit strategy? When you get to, you've lost 10 pounds, 50 pounds, however much weight you want to lose, and you're doing the thing to get there, like, what's the exit strategy? Because a lot of the times it's, well, then I'll stop doing the thing. But then usually we end up right back where we started.
Right. Right. Because we didn't learn anything. We just gave something up. We got quick fix results. We got, whatever. Maybe you did lose the 30 pounds. Cool. But then at the end of that 30 pounds, like, because you didn't learn anything, what are you going to do? You're going to start eating these cookies again. You're going to go into that all or nothing mindset, and boom, we're right back where we started, right? And there was actually a study done. I always talk about this. Like, there was a study done on it was not done on humans because it's hard to do with humans because of lifestyle things, but it was done on rats where basically they like had these rats, and I know this sounds so crazy. They had these rats where they like basically made them gain a bunch of weight. Then they made them lose a bunch of weight. And then they fed them like normally or something along those lines. And basically they gained the same amount of weight that they lost. They gained it back twice as fast. And then it was twice as hard to lose that weight again. So like you're elongating the process of losing weight by going through these crazy extreme cyclical cycles of, binging and restricting and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like you're wanting to find a shortcut is actually going to make your journey longer.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Love that. Okay, so at the end of the podcast, I like to ask my guests a silly question. Would you fuck, marry, or kill, squat, bench, or deadlift?
Okay, squat, bench, or deadlift. So I would say kill squats. I just hate doing squats.
Same, girl. You are the first person to say that.
I would say marry, bench, and fuck deadlifts.
Yeah. Yep, we're on the same page. Wow, we're wearing the same colors. We have the same hair. We're on the same page. Yeah, I feel that way too. That's so funny.
You should have put like split squats in there.
No, those are terrible.
Everybody would kill those. That'd be too easy.
It all started because I'm a power lifter, and those are the 3 movements that I do for my sport. So I was like, these are funny. Okay, tell the audience where we can find you, what you're doing right now, how we can work with you.
So you can find me on Instagram at Carey Yates Wellness. It's Carey. My parents like to give me this really complicated version of Carey that nobody ever knows how to spell. I have a Facebook group. I do trainings in there every week on just random topics, like whatever my membership wants to learn about. We do challenges in there. We did a challenge during the month of October. Sometimes I'll do giveaways with prizes for different things, just really with the goal of helping people stay on track, stay motivated, give you different ideas of things that you can do to get closer to your goals without giving up sugar.
Love that. Love it. Or margaritas and chips and salsa, right?
Right, exactly. Who wants to do that? That sounds terrible.
Well, Carey, it has been so amazing having you here. I will link your Instagram and profiles in the show notes, but thank you for all of your insight, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you so much for tuning in and being vulnerable with me today. I'd love to hear from you, so make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram at KateAnnFit. Let me know what you thought of this episode or leave a review here. And don't forget, I want to cover topics that you want to hear about. Let me know what topics you want me to cover either in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'll talk to you soon.